Hello, everybody. Hi. Hospice Nurse Julie here. Do you like how I always refer to myself in the third person? I am in a hotel room in Denver, Colorado, attending a conference to make myself smarter than I already am. For you guys, I want to come up with some new video ideas and just kind of be in the know of like what's new and in the works for hospice and palliative care. So that's what I'm doing. And do you guys hear the ambulance in the back? I wonder if I should close that window. It's fine. So welcome. Come on in. I just started. Yeah, let me know where you guys are all coming in from. And I'm going to actually go live on TikTok, but I won't listen to them in the chat. I will just talk to you guys. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. I'm live on another platform called The Tube That Is You, if you get it. Wink, wink. So I'm going to be answering questions over there, but you're happy to listen in on the live. Let me know where you're coming in from. But I'm over actually answering questions and listen to the chat on YouTube. So welcome. Come on in. I got people from England, Miami, Palmdale, California, New York, UK, Seattle, Michigan, Houston, Alabama, Santa Cruz. I feel like I would belong in. I feel like I could really get along with people in Santa Cruz. Thank you, Miss Curtis, about my book. Thank you for reading it and always attending my lives. I appreciate you so much. Minnesota, Asheville, North Carolina, Dayton, Ohio, Kent, UK. Sally, I didn't realize you were from the UK, Sally. New Orleans, almost Super Bowl weekend. Kentucky, Ireland, South Carolina. Wow, you guys, we are like literally worldwide. Welcome, come on in. If you're new, I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. In case you don't know, I do a live at 5 every Thursday on YouTube. Every Thursday when I don't forget. Am I right? So ask me your questions. If I don't answer them right away, please re-ask and just try to write them in all caps. Okay, so first question. Let's see. My mom, Amy, writes, might not be a question, but Amy writes, my mom is on week 2 of home hospice. The terminal agitation, restlessness is horrible. Oh, Amy, I'm so sorry. Obviously, I can't really give medical advice, so I'd only try to, I'm sure you're already doing this, but talk to the hospice company. Say you don't feel like the restlessness and agitation is managed. Now, sometimes that does mean they have to increase meds a lot, which is going to make our loved ones more sedated. And sometimes at the end of life, some people with the disease they have and the personality they have and whatever's going on, sometimes they kind of need to be asleep in order to not be agitated. That's not always the case. Sometimes we can give them medication to kind of like get them down. And then a couple days later, they kind of like reawaken and they're not as agitated. It just depends, but it is hard. It is hard. Thank you so much, Harris. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Thank you so much to everyone saying thank you to me. Yeah, Haldol and Ativan aren't touching. Again, I can't give medical advice, but generally speaking, what the hospice company should do, if Haldol and Ativan are not working, they need to figure something else out. So just so you know, you can be an advocate for your loved one. Do you think the one dying knows you are there with them? I sat with a family member because I couldn't let her die alone. I do think they know. I guess we won't know for sure, but I do think they know. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. If you're new to this live, I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. I educate about death and dying. I go live at 5 every Thursday on YouTube. And I'm also streaming on TikTok. So if you want to listen, TikTokers, hello, you can listen. Julie, can you please explain the difference in hospice services provided in a skilled care facility? My mom's in a skilled care with advanced Alzheimer's. Thank you so much. So basically, if someone's in a skilled care facility, like a nursing home, the nurses and the faculty there will be doing the day-to-day care. And the hospice company will be coming in, just like if they were in your own home. The hospice company would really only be coming in once or twice a week, or if the facility calls and says there's an issue. So the facility is going to be taking over most of the care, and hospice helps intermittently. Just like if they were not in a facility and they were in home hospice in their own home, the family is going to be doing majority of the work, and the hospice company helps when they can, but there's no like daily care from a hospice company. So what happens is sometimes people are in an assisted living facility, and the assisted living facility does not do like day-to-day care. And then hospice comes involved, and the family thinks that hospice is going to be doing more work than they actually are. And the assisted living is like, we don't do that work. And hospice is like, we don't do that work. And then the family is like, well, who's supposed to do the work? And that is America healthcare system, folks. There is a missing link in America's healthcare system, and that is a missing link right there. There is no one to do the work. It is not the hospice company's problem. It is not the assisted living's problem. Unfortunately, it's the family's problem. And usually what happens is a family member has to take a leave of absence from work and be the caregiver, or they need to pay someone to be the caregiver, or they need to go to a more skilled nursing facility where then they are getting daily care. I hope that makes sense. That's in a little bit of a nutshell. It's a very advanced issue with a lot of problems and a lot of things that depend on things, but that's like generally speaking. Welcome, everybody. Yes, I just found out too that my book is going to be published in French. So now we have Arabic, Spanish, Polish, Czech, and French. 5 languages. Hello to everyone saying hello. Thanks for joining the live. I've been trying to do it once a week. Biggest misconception for hospice is probably that we provide day-to-day care, meaning we provide care for like custodial care, or that we are there more often than we actually are. That's a really big misconception. And then another really big misconception is that people die quicker when they're on hospice, when in reality people actually live longer if they choose hospice early enough. And that we like kill people with morphine is another big myth, that we just like medicate till someone dies. That is truly, truly, truly inaccurate. Like clinically speaking, it's been studied. Thank you so much to everyone saying thank you. And thank you for everyone who's here as a caregiver or as a nurse or as someone in the field, and they're always here. I really appreciate you. Hey, Bread Pit, crossing over to YouTube, baby. Thanks, Bermuda guy. How do you know if it's dementia or morphine and fentanyl and Ativan doing the talking? Donna, please be a little more specific, I think. At the end of the day, I would say it's likely dementia progressing, or maybe you don't know, right? So you have to kind of try to figure it out if it's over medication versus the disease. Okay, I see some good questions coming in. Julie, day before brother passed, he was calling my mom's name and he said my cousin was there and she is funny. He also was calling 3 numbers out. Thoughts. Ellie, it's hard to know. My thoughts are, at the end of life, people do some things that we can't explain sometimes. And as long as they are comforting to the person, I would go with it. And sometimes there's just mysteries in life, you know? Julie, have you heard of near-death experiences? I have heard of near-death experiences. All of my patients have died. None of them have died and come back, though. So I've heard of it, but I haven't really experienced it. When someone has advanced dementia at home, when do you know it's time to arrange hospice? 3, I have a great video about that I just posted. And it's if you go to my YouTube page, it's like one of the newer videos, and I think it says like when's enough or something. There's also another video a little bit down saying like how do you know it's time? I'll try to give you a quick little answer, and then I want you to go watch that video though. So the quick answer is it's actually pretty hard to get on dementia, to get on hospice with dementia, because Medicare knows that someone can live quite a long time with dementia. So you have to be very, very, very advanced. So generally speaking, they have to be bedbound, fully dependent for all ADLs, meaning like they can't really do anything for themselves, including feeding. They're incontinent. They're probably not talking much. They're eating very, very little and sleeping like 22 hours a day. And usually they have to have some kind of recent episode in the hospital where they had some kind of like UTI infection, which is a urinary tract infection, or respiratory infection due to aspiration pneumonia, or they are malnutrition. They have an albumin level that's really low. So I'm rattling off a lot of stuff there, I know, but that'll give you a gist, and then you can go watch those videos I told you about. So it's hard to know with dementia. Have you met, because someone can be very, very debilitated and still not meet criteria for hospice. Have you met anyone who's resuscitated and had a near-death experience? I have not met anyone personally, no. Anyone want to see those lights that keep going around me? I'm a laundry aide in a nursing home facility, and we have hospice CNAs come in every day to give care to our residents that are on hospice. Elena, is that in the US of A? That is my question for you. Because that would be hard to believe in the US that that hospice provides a CNA to come in every day. Some hospices might, but very, very few. So I'm really curious if you're in the US. Tell us the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. I cannot give you a detailed version of that. There are other people on the internet that can. But basically dementia is like the umbrella, the overarching word we use for, and then in the under the umbrella of dementia, there's like Alzheimer's, there's Lewy body dementia, there's vascular dementia, there's frontal lobe dementia, and they all are a bit different. At the end of the day, though, the reason why I don't know is because I don't specialize in that. What I specialize in and is end of life with dementia. And end of life with dementia, it all looks the same, whether it's Alzheimer's, Lewy body, vascular, frontal lobe. People can decline a little quicker in some of them, but Parkinson's disease, they all, which is a very different disease, but they all kind of look the same at the end of life. That's what I specialize in. Does Medicare pay for skilled nursing? My 92-year-old father is trying to take care of my mom in hospice. Medicare does not pay fully for, usually, Medicare will not pay the full amount for a nursing home, but you'd have to look into it. That stuff I'm not, it's so dependent on the stuff that you've paid into and stuff, so it's hard to know. My mom passed January 6th. I'm sorry, Michael. Thank you for being there for her. Friday prior, we asked the hospital at 4 p.m. for palliative care. They said they only have palliative care daytime, Monday through Friday, common practice. Sometimes, not totally. It depends on how big your hospital is and where you are. Maybe a rural hospital, they wouldn't have it 24/7, but that could be a thing, yes. It's not good, but that could be a thing. We are trying, this community of, of people in hospice and palliative care, everyone who works in it is trying to make it more commonplace, trying to make it be a more common thing. We're still working on it, obviously. If I haven't answered your question, please write it in all caps. I just discovered bed sores on my dad, but the Parkinson's makes it difficult to rotate him from side to side. What do you suggest? If he's on hospice, I suggest you talk to them. Please talk to your healthcare providers that are with you guys. So talk to them about it. talk to them. If it's difficult to turn him because of pain, I would say medicate. But again, like, we have to remember that I'm not giving medical advice here. I can only generally speak about what I would think. So if someone had Parkinson's and was on hospice and they were getting wounds, and we were getting them because they couldn't rotate him because he was in pain, so they didn't rotate, then I would try to treat the pain. If it wasn't because of pain and it was just like, we are turning him every couple hours, but we let him rest at nighttime, and because sometimes it's inevitable to get pressure sores and stuff no matter what you do. So it kind of depends. I wouldn't fully focus on like turning him every 2 hours no matter what time it is. But the main things I would focus on are keeping him dry, so making sure you check to make sure that he's not like in a wet brief. Turning him every 2 hours during waking hours, meaning during the daytime when you're awake. And then if he doesn't want to be touched because it hurts, taking care of that pain. I hope that helps. Why do tears come down dying people's faces? Because our eyes are trying to protect itself and making like not a special coating, but we aren't blinking really at the end of life. And sometimes our eyes are open because it takes muscles to shut our eyes, and those muscles are relaxing. So our eyes are open, are partially open, but like no one's really home because the person's unconscious, or they aren't blinking. So their eyes are basically kind of like protecting themselves. They're changing underneath there. And a lot of times that liquid's building up, and then like a single tear will fall or a few tears will fall. And people associate that with emotions. But we mostly in like the hospice and palliative care world do not contribute that to emotions. We think it's more of a bodily biological function. Denny Lee said, I paid $6 for you on Facebook. Denny Lee, what do you mean? I don't know what that means, but thank you if you paid me $6. I'm not familiar with that on Facebook, but I'm glad you're here. Have you heard about the shot of med that prevents UTIs for a month? No, I haven't heard of that, Ruby. I'll have to look into it. What is involved in evaluating a patient to see if they qualify for services? What's involved is trying to figure out if they have a terminal diagnosis with less than 6 months to live. So we have to determine that, and usually a doctor determines that. However, a hospice company could determine that because they have a medical director. So they have to have a terminal diagnosis with less than 6 months to live. And depending on what that diagnosis is, they also may have to have other criteria. So if they have like COPD, there's other criteria that have to meet besides the 6 months left to live, or basically to prove that there's 6 months left to live. Congestive heart failure, you kind of have to prove that there's less than 6 months to live through certain criteria. Dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, you have to kind of prove to Medicare, because Medicare is the boss paying for hospice, even if you're not on Medicare, that they have enough symptoms to basically prove that they're at the end stage of these diseases and they have less than 6 months to live. Now, certain types of cancers, metastatic cancers, advanced cancers, it's a little easier to prove that. So there's like less criteria. That is a general statement there. That's a very complicated question that would truly bore you if I gave you like every little in and out. My dad has ALS and Alzheimer's. He thinks he's going to get better. What do you say? What do I say to him? I think because he has Alzheimer's, depending on how advanced it is, I would just kind of keep him in the day that he's in and make sure he's comfortable, because he will continue to forget and continue to be agitated at times and restless at times. And I don't know if you can keep trying to explain to him over and over and over again, but you also could just try to like redirect and keep him comfortable in the day that he is in, because it's difficult. And work with your hospice team. If he is on hospice already, I would ask your hospice social worker, ask your hospice chaplain, ask your nurse, see what they think. Generally speaking, that's the one disease where they continuously forget that I'm not like super adamant on like they have to understand and know, because you will consistently have to keep doing that and telling them that over and over again. And it can be really, really difficult for them and for you. So, welcome everybody. If you're new, I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. In case you don't know, I am live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. Same name, Hospice Nurse Julie. I'm also live right now on TikTok. Hi, guys. However, I'm not answering questions over on TikTok. I'm answering questions on my YouTube. But please feel free to listen and engage. Listen as I talk. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Does hospice help teach the family how to caregive at all? How do you learn how to do it? So you can ask them to. I feel like some hospices are better than others. Some nurses are better than others. Some CNAs are better than others. So I would say the more you act engaged and involved, the more hopefully they will meet that. And if they're not, and they're not really holding up their end of the bargain, I would say go to a different hospice. But yes, they should and can teach you these things. Also, not to toot my own horn, but it is free. And I do think I have many, many videos. Most of the questions I get asked in all my lives, which is totally fine, most of them I've already covered in my videos. So I have literally hundreds of videos. Now I know it's a lot to like go through them all, but particularly on YouTube, they are all labeled. And I have many things about how to care for people on there. So that also can help, and it's free. I also, side note, this is not going to come out for a couple of months, but I also am developing a course on stuff like this, how to actually do it. But you can also ask a hospice company, and they should be able to teach you. Yes. Thank you to everybody saying thank you. I'm sorry I'm not reading them all aloud, but I am seeing you guys here. Hi, Bobby G. Thank you for being here. I have not visited hospice centers in other countries. However, that would be a really cool thing that I should seriously look into. Thank you for saying that. Note this, guys. I need to do this. Look into hospice centers in other countries. Why would a person with no terminal condition feel better just before they die? I have no idea. I have no idea. You know what makes a good healthcare professional? Someone who's willing to say they have no idea. So any new nurses on here or old nurses, if you don't know, just say it. We don't know. We don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not even sure what the question is really. Why would a person who has no terminal condition, so they're not sick, feel better just before they die? So what were they feeling better from? Do you know what I mean? If they didn't have a terminal condition. Some people just die, right? Not everyone has. That's why I think if you're able to be on hospice and know that you know your end of life journey is coming, I think it's a blessing, because many people don't know their death is coming, right? People's hearts just stop. People just get blood clots, they get PEs, they get hit by a car, they get in a car accident. There's so many things. Thank you, Bruce. Do you know someone with Alzheimer's who is nonverbal and can't move will suddenly speak at the end of life? Every once in a while, usually not full sentences, but sometimes they'll speak like yes, no, oh, hi, nice to see you, sometimes. But I would say most of the time not. Jesse, yes. So Jesse says 50-year-old family member has a rare type of dementia with max 3 years prognosis from a specialist. Will it be easier for someone like that to get onto hospice when it's time? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would suggest you have your doctor that specializes in this rare type of dementia actually contact the hospice and talk to them specifically about, this is the different type of hospice or different type of dementia. This is what we've been seeing, and I think, Jesse, if you can, have you and your family, if this is your family, really plan out what the end of life for this person is going to look like. If they are able to talk to you about it now and still able to say what they want it to be like, I would say plan it all out now. Get on hospice as early as possible if you can. Well, there's a fine line there because sometimes you still want to treat infections and stuff depending, but work with your doctor. And I do think when there are certain things where, hospice companies will take that in consideration. Oh, Jennifer, thank you for saying that. Jennifer says, having stage 4 bone mets, I don't know if it's a blessing knowing. So it's so funny when I was saying that, Jennifer, I was literally saying, oh, that's going to sound callous to people who do know they're going to die. That's what I mean. It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion, right? Personally, because I like to be in control, I think I would rather know than just suddenly die. Personally. Because I kind of want to prepare and know and tell my family and have everyone and have it be. Now the pain and suffer, if there's pain and stuff involved, that's really, really hard. And I hope we can get good pain management. But generally speaking, for me personally only, I would rather want to know and prepare than not know. Except what I wouldn't want, this is now we're just getting philosophical here. What I wouldn't want is to just know the date, but not know how. Do you know what I mean? Thanks, Jesse. I'm glad you're here. I think I might be missing some questions because I just assume if they're not in caps, they're not questions, and that's not fair. So give me 1 second here. Let me read through some stuff. Someone just paid me $50. Rick! Oh my gosh, thank you. And Julie teacher, thank you so much. My wife died before I saw your first video, but you raised her Lupe. Know what help Edith on her last day. Oh, Rick. But you raised her. Lupe's me know that I help Edith on her last day. Rick, thank you so much. I hope my videos did help you. I'm sorry you didn't find them sooner. Laura, no, we didn't do that. We didn't know that. I'm sorry about your aunt. I know you've come on here before and talked about her. My mom fell face into the mattress after my sister was cleaning her after using the urinal. Her diagnosis was CHF. Do you think she felt pain? No, I don't think so. And I'm truly not just saying that to make you feel better. A lot of times when people die suddenly like that, it's very quick and not painful. Usually if there is pain due to something with the heart, because they'll start saying stuff or yelling or moaning or doing something. So if they weren't doing that, I would say no. My dad has COPD. His heart was at 14%. The option they gave him was short-term facility or hospice. Short-term facility, he would not have the strength to do the activities, so he went to hospice. I hope it was a good experience, Dawn. My granddad with Alzheimer's has his second UTI in 2 months. Any tips? What concerns should I specifically bring up to doctors? This is just sort of something that I still would bring this up to doctors, but generally speaking, people with Alzheimer's or any kind of dementia or Parkinson's disease, anything like that, they tend to start getting a lot of UTIs. And sometimes, Mia, not always, but sometimes that is an indicator that things are declining. Things are declining. You're not doing anything wrong, I bet. that's causing this. It's just sort of like the nature of the disease and the progression. Now, if he lets you, maybe really good cleaning, drinking a lot of water, like things like that can help, but sometimes you can do all the right things and that still keeps happening. So there's not much you can do really, except for allow his body to be the guide. I think watch my videos about how to prepare for end of life with Alzheimer's, and when is being aggressive too much, like how many times do you take him in and out of the hospital to get antibiotics, things like that to start thinking about. But talk to your doctor, see if there's anything that they can do. There's not really much to do. It's just sort of something that kind of that happens. So I would just say make sure you keep them super clean, best you can. Drinking water, but that's hard because I know it's hard to get water in people with Alzheimer's disease. They don't usually drink that much, and that's very normal. So don't force it either. When you're a hospice nurse, who do you work with most? The patient. Is that what you mean? If you're a hospice nurse, you work with the patient the most. And the family. Lisa Foster, thank you for $13.99. You guys are so sweet. I've been getting a lot of like people paying me money on the lives. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. What happens if you don't get treatment for hydrocephalophysis? You guys, I've been a nurse for 16 years and I still can't pronounce stuff like this. I gotta laugh at it. What else am I gonna do? How long will you have left to live? Also, I don't know, Karen. I don't know. That's not my specialty. I don't know the age of the person. I don't know the other comorbidities. I don't know anything else going on. So I don't know. I'm so sorry. If you are working with a particular doctor, whatever doctor you see the most, I would ask them. Just looking through the comments here, or the comments for questions. Hi, everybody. Just wanted to acknowledge everyone over on TikTok. I love you guys. I love my TikTok peeps. I'm doing a live on the tube that is you, same name. If you want to ask a question, you can go over there. But if not, you can just listen to my voice, my radiant voice as I answer questions. Denise, thank you. You guys can read through the comments too, because we guys talk in the chat. It's a little community here and we help each other. So thank you. Okay, let's see. Mom has very bad arthritis in her right shoulder. This makes it very difficult to change her diapers. Do you have any suggestions for changing diapers and not rolling her onto her shoulder? Not really, Jen. Not really. Except maybe putting a pillow there, which I'm sure you already do. I mean, have you tried medicating? Have you tried medicating for the bad arthritis to help? The people I work with most are basically generalized cancer patients. So like a lot of different types of cancers, Alzheimer's or dementia, right, is the overarching. So all the different types of dementia, Parkinson's disease, ALS, COPD, CHF, like those mostly. Thanks, Lisa. Kitty Cole, Jen, can she do pelvic thrust? That's right. Can she just lift her hips up? I doubt it, but if she can lift her hips up, Jen, yeah, do that for the brief change. My mom kept getting UTIs for the last 4 years of dementia. I was told that it's just the body breaking down. Taking antibiotics too much is hard on them too. Yep, exactly. H. Marie says, sitting with my mom, she is actively in the dying stage. She has stage 5 kidney failure and congestive heart failure. We noticed today she was not outputting urine at all. H. Marie. Let's all give some love to H. Marie over here, okay? Thank you for being here and being willing to share. Thank you for being with your mom while her body is doing what it knows how to do. And there's not much to do except for just be with her, you know? Keep her clean, keep her safe, keep her comfortable. Keep her clean, keep her safe, keep her comfortable. And, it's one of the greatest acts of love of all time, I think, being and caring for someone while they are dying. Beautiful, beautiful thing. As hard as it is, as much as it hurts, Abby says, if someone is actively dying, do you always use a suppository for no BM times 3 days, even if they don't have symptoms of constipation? Or can you let it go? I think you can let it go. I think if someone's in the actively dying phase and they're not agitated and they look comfortable and they haven't pooped in 3 days, but they're comfortable, let it go. That's what I think. But know that they could start, if they don't die soon, they could become a little agitated. And if they start getting really agitated, then I would definitely think constipation and I would give suppository. But if they're comfortable, I would let it go. My mom was in hospice and did not eat for 10 days, then passed away. My sister said she died a horrible death not eating. Not true, right? Not true, Lisa. That's correct. Not true. People at the end of life do not eat. Do not eat. Our body turns off the hunger and thirst mechanism. They do not feel hungry. We know this because when they're alive, they're telling us they're not hungry. We also know this because the body truly does shut down the hunger and thirst mechanism because our bodies are built to die. Our bodies literally have built-in mechanisms to help us die. So when we are dying a natural death, meaning like from something, but we're allowing the natural process to take over, like you did with your mom, the body is like, starts cluing in like, oh, this is happening. We're going to start cueing in all of these resources we have in our body to help us die. Those things are shutting off the hunger mechanism, shutting off the thirst mechanism, making us not eat and drink. We go into ketosis. It starts releasing endorphins to help us feel better. Not help us feel better, like basically releases endorphins so we actually feel good. It dulls pain. It makes us sleepy. Our calcium levels rise, so we sleep all the time. Like our body's doing all of this without us touching it. So no, it does not hurt when someone doesn't eat at the end of life. It does not hurt. Now, there's a few exceptions to that rule, which I don't even need to get into because your mom was not one of those things. Like the one exception is like if someone's like totally awake and totally healthy, has a stroke and loses the ability to swallow, but is otherwise alert and awake, that person may actually feel hunger pains and feel the uncomfortability of not being able to eat because they're not in the dying process. Does that make sense? So, and even then, if they still chose to not get a feeding tube and just die that way, we would like heavily medicate so they wouldn't feel discomfort. Okay. I hope that helps, Lisa. Tell your sister to listen to this video. You guys did a great job, I'm sure. My mom was COPD, which is a lung condition, everybody, is on 4% O2. She's having difficulty with her short-term memory. Her hospice nurse says it's from the O2 deprivation. She is quick on her memory and no signs of dementia. Yeah, that could be true. It could be from the low oxygen or just like I think anyone like with advanced any kind of disease, right, is not going to be in like tip-top shape. So memory can go, they can start becoming disoriented, they can start needing to be like reoriented to like time and place. They can be confused when they first wake up. All of that is pretty normal. And a lot of times in hospice, unfortunately, it's a gray area. Like we're not going to always have for sure exact answers for everything because we're not like running a bunch of tests. And even if they could go into the hospital and like run tests, right? One, they don't usually have like a bunch of tests to run. But two, we still don't always get answers. So again, it's this gray area of like trying to see like what matters most and to me what matters most is if they're comfortable. So like if her memory is a little poor and her short-term memory is a little bad, but she's still, like, comfortable and not being super agitated by it, it kind of, like, is what it is in the moment, right? But it's hard. It's hard when it's your loved one and, like, you'd like to have answers and to fully understand. But there wouldn't necessarily be anything to do. It's not like putting more oxygen in her would make her memory better. That's likely not happening. It's probably all of the things combined, if that makes sense. Ben says, "I'm an RN in Switzerland. Love your content. We are lucky our job is well respected and paid. Do you ever think of going abroad?" Someone else just asked me that, Ben. Someone else just said, like, maybe you should go abroad and just to see what it's like in other places. I haven't thought about that until this live. This live is making me feel inspired to be like, yeah, maybe I should just check it out other places just to keep everyone informed about like what's happening in other areas of the world when it comes to hospice. Can someone pay for that to happen? A TV show, maybe? Oh my God. A TV show to take me around and like look at how hospice is done around the world? Are we all just thinking of a TV show right now? Producers, is anyone with money and production value? Can we do this? What are the lights flying around you? My question exactly. I have no idea. Anyone else seeing those too? I saw them too. And someone just gave me money. Bella Bailey, thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for sending me money. Really, this is so amazing. What does the elderly pass from if they have no life-ending illness? So our bodies can't live forever. So the older we get, the more our systems stop working. So our body's like this amazing, brilliant, magical, I mean, that's a, for lack of a better word, but like magical system that works together to like keep us alive, to survive birth, to grow, to like it's constantly changing and stuff so we can like survive and live. As we get older, those systems like your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, like those things slowly just get like not as functional, right? So even if you're like pretty good health as like a 96-year-old, things are still just like not working as well as they should or could, and they're kind of getting to the end of their like their end of the warranty, you know, because our bodies aren't meant to live forever. So they will slowly shut down until they die, right? So sometimes that's a slow thing. Someone who used to be up walking a block a day and eating 3 meals a day will stop walking a block a day or around the block and maybe only eat 1 meal a day just because they're getting elderly because their body is slowly shutting it down. And sometimes they will just die in their sleep because their body will just stop, you know. So it's a mixture of a lot of things, usually stuff with cardiovascular and respiratory all working together. Hi, Julie. My mother was an alcoholic and died of stomach cancer. Can you tell me a bit more about how death from that disease looks? So stomach cancer, it just depends. Depends if it's metastatic, meaning it's moved to other places that can eventually make it terminal. I do see stomach cancer on hospice, but not all the time. So it's not something I see all the time. So I can just like rattle off stuff. So I would put your mom then in a basic category of like dying from cancer. And how that would look is just a little more quick than the other diseases, meaning like something with like cardiovascular disease. So it's usually a little more steady, a little more quick, like the decline is quicker. And they usually will need medication to like manage things like pain or nausea and vomiting. Those are the things that have to do with cancer. The things that have to do with death will happen with everybody, which is like she probably slept a lot more, she probably ate a lot less, slept a lot more, ate a lot less, and the body slowly shuts down. Now, her being an alcoholic can add into that too. She could have some liver failure in there, which could make her confused, somewhat agitated. Again, medication can help with that as well as far as like managing it. But that's just speaking generally, of course. Sometimes people have their own path and own journey, and they surprise me. Oh, and thank you so much. Thank you, Anne. Thank you to everybody who's saying thank you and giving me a personal experience about things. Thank you. I'm sorry I can't read it out loud. How do you know when a person with COPD needs hospice? He seemed fine in the hospital, didn't have energy. Same. So COPD is like a lung condition for anyone who doesn't know. It's a chronic lung condition you can live for years and years and years. Same with CHF. It's a chronic heart condition um, that you can live with for years and years and years. COPD is like I would talk to your doctors first. So, anyone on here thinking or wondering about this stuff, talk to your doctors. They will know more than me. Not because they're doctor. Well, yes, because they're doctors, one, and because they're your doctors. Never just listen to someone on the internet. I love talking and I think I know a lot, and I do in a general way, but please don't just listen to a nurse on the internet. Okay? Talk to your doctors. Generally speaking, people with COPD who end up being on hospice, what it will look like is they are fully dependent, living on oxygen, living on nebulizers, living on steroids, and probably living on morphine. They are pretty sediment, meaning like they can only sit in their chair and like maybe walk to the bathroom back and forth, barely doing anything, very, very hard to do anything. Have lost a lot of weight because it's hard to eat. Have had many trips to the hospital, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Those things will be indications that like maybe it's time. And you know what? You can always go onto hospice. This is a good thing for everyone to remember. You can always go onto hospice and then come off. You don't have to stay on hospice. You can go on and then come off. I had to plug in my phone here. Hi everybody. Hi everyone. Welcome. I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. I am live on YouTube and TikTok. I am speaking to the YouTubers though. So if you want to ask questions, go over there. Let's see if I can get this to stay up. Hold on here, folks. Hold on. My phone is dying. Oh my God. Lord have mercy. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. My nephew has stomach cancer. Is traveled to his brain. Oh, sorry to hear that. He's now at home with hospice care, no longer drinking or eating. How much longer does he have? Thank you, Bruce. I would again talk to the hospice company actually working with him because they would know more than I would. But generally speaking, if someone truly is not eating and drinking, truly no food and water, they are getting close to the actively dying phase, which means the last phase of life. And they usually will have anywhere from like a few days to maybe like a week or something, depending on the person, depending on the age. I've seen someone be in the actively dying phase for like 3 weeks. That's far too long. That's normally not what happens. Usually a few days, the actively dying phase, but he may be a little before that phase, so maybe a week or so. But if he's truly no longer eating and drinking, truly, it is getting close. I would bet. I would bet. Have you ever seen someone suffocate to death? No, not really. I mean, that's like convoluted. I could say, yeah. A short answer, no. People on hospice don't generally suffocate to death. Someone who suffocates to death would be someone who is choking on a carrot or something like that. They would suffocate to death. Or someone who's drowning. They would drown. I mean, they would suffocate, but they'd also be drowning probably from water intake and stuff. But people on hospice don't suffocate to death. Even people with COPD and lung issues, they don't suffocate to death because we are heavily medicating them, so they don't. And because it's slowly, gradually happening. It's not just a sudden suffocating. So a lot of people during the actively dying phase breathe like people think someone who's suffocating would breathe. And that is a big misconception. because they see how it looks and they're like, yikes, this looks awful. They look like they're suffocating or like they're gasping for air, but they're really not. At the end of life, um, we all have like a certain chemistry in our blood that keeps us breathing a certain way. And we have a whole like pH balance and things that go on in our blood. And that starts changing at the end of life. And when that starts changing, it changes how we breathe. So we are not conscious up here. Like we are not conscious when that is happening. And our body's kind of like I always try to help people look at it like the person that that consciousness, that person that is like alive that is not really there anymore. We are now sort of just looking at the body, the biological body, and that biological body that was housing that consciousness is shutting down, and it's shutting down, and metabolically it's changing, and that's what's causing the changes in breathing. The hospice, the conference I'm at so far is amazing, and I'm learning a bunch of cool stuff and getting new ideas for videos. My mom didn't lose consciousness to her last day. The night before she died, I woke up to her having conversations with people as if they were there. I recorded some of it. You think this was her transitioning? Yes, Amanda. Yes. I would love to know what she was saying. Could you make out what she was saying? Did she seem like she was having an okay time? What are some typical ways patients with MS die on hospice? And are there less patients like this these days with new treatments? Foxy. Yes. I rarely see people do die from MS for sure, but I rarely see people on hospice from MS. But I would say the ones I do, again, I am not an expert on MS. Okay, so that's key here. What I'm expert on is the very, very, very end stages. So anyone with MS that I have seen on hospice looks a lot like my patients who have like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, which those diseases are all very different. But what I mean by that is they usually are very debilitated, right? They're not eating and drinking, they're not walking, they're in pain, like things like that. They're very debilitated. They're not really like talking. So that's the main thing I think of. And it's usually we can make them very comfortable and they die peacefully. Now, the beforehand, that long disease of MS, that's the incredibly difficult part, right? It's like the end is the part that I see. And I don't want to minimize it. I don't want to say, oh, it's not that bad. That's not what I mean, but I just mean like it's peaceful. It's not a death that I think, oh, that's really hard. There's certain deaths I can think of and I think that's a harder death or that's a harder disease to die from. MS is a very difficult disease to live with. But by the time you get to very, very end stage, the things that I've seen, they're very comfortable. Now, they're not doing much, but they're comfortable. I worry I made the wrong decision with my dad. He was in the hospital with emphysema, and the doctor was already bringing up hospice and palliative care. He was supposed to be a DNR. Dark Lotus, I don't know if that was finished. I'm not sure what was your decision that you made if your decision, yeah, let me know your decision. Was it to not put him on hospice or to put him on hospice? Julie, have you noticed a difference between people dying in hospice who lived a religious and spiritual lifestyle compared to those who haven't? Not really. I have not. I do think faith of some kind does seem to be more comforting. And many times people don't talk to me about it too. So I don't know. Right. But no, I haven't really. I really haven't. I do think faith seems to bring more comfort, but generally speaking, I haven't noticed it mattering, and I haven't noticed any particular religion mattering. Like not one, like someone who has this religion seemed to die more peaceful. That hasn't been true for me. Doctor called 2 a.m. saying dad couldn't support his airway. He said I needed to decide quickly to put him on a vent or not. I wanted time to get there. So I said, put him on a vent. We took him off the next day. Dark Lotus. That is okay. That is okay, of course. I worried it caused more suffering. Dark Lotus, I don't know. I want to say girl, but I don't know if you're a girl. No. I mean, I think what you're going through is what very common for many people to go through. And I think it's part of the grieving process. I think it's really easy for us to ruminate on what coulda, shoulda, woulda. Maybe I did something wrong. This is my fault. That's very common. So it's very common for you to think this. And I truly am not saying no, that's fine, just to make you feel better. I mean, I think anyone, you didn't think he was going to die. A doctor calls you and says, "Oh my God, you need to decide now, either put him on the vent or don't." Or it would be hard. Of course, put him on the vent so I can get there, so we can say goodbye to him. I think I would do that too. And I'm a hospice nurse who is anti-intubation. I still think I would do that. If that was my mom and she was dying suddenly, I wasn't ready. I didn't know and wasn't fully ready. Yeah, you want to get there. You want to be there. You don't want. I get it. I get it. But I also understand why you think that, and I think that's a part of grief. I could say to you a million times over, "Oh no, I think it's okay," and I still think you'll have those seeping things that come into your brain going, "But maybe it wasn't okay. Maybe it wasn't this." I think that's part of the grieving process. How long does anyone else, I don't even know if I believe in orbs, but is anyone else seeing all the millions of orbs that keep coming by me? It could just be particles I don't know. Is it particles coming from somewhere? Hello, Julie. I'm a single senior with no family, wife, or any trusted friend. If I'm critically ill and diagnosed with dementia and only a few months to live, is there any advice you can give me? David, yes. You need to right now, not this moment, but tomorrow. If you're actually diagnosed with dementia, or whether you're diagnosed with dementia or you're not, what you need to do is hire an executor. It's going to cost some money and time, but I would work with a lawyer, an estate planner, or an executive, someone who can be your executor, to make sure you have a will filled out with all of your medical wants and all of your financial things in order. So all your financial things, all your medical things, everything that you would want to happen if something were to happen to you, all the stuff. You need to have that all filled out and all done now. That's it. So you can decide how you want it to look, but that's what you need to do, and you need to do it sooner rather than later. How long does faster breathing often last before death? Wendy, they have to be actively dying. So someone can have fast breathing and not be actively dying. So work with your hospice company there. But if someone is showing all the signs of actively dying, fully unconscious, not eating and drinking, changes in breathing, so the fast breathing, changes in skin color, if they have all that stuff going on and they are actively dying, usually a few hours to a few days. And work with your hospice company. They'll let you know if we should medicate or not for the fast breathing. Emma says, I'm unsure about something. I don't want to upset anybody, but I was confused with my grandpa's death. And wondered, is the syringe driver medication to bring death on or to help aid with it? The syringe driver medication, from my understanding, I'm not in the UK, but I often hear other nurses from the UK tell me about this, is just to help someone be comfortable, not to bring on death. They are already dying, and they're helping them die more peacefully. Kitty Cole, I love you, and thank you for always talking to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody who talks to people in the chat. Do I have bugs in here? Julie Hall, there better not be bugs in this hotel room. What kind of deaths are considered harder and more painful? My dad has metastatic colon cancer, messed with the liver, lungs. I'm worried he'll be in pain. Kayla, I think I'm saying your name wrong. I would say colon cancer, mess of the liver and lung can be difficult. Not one of my not the most at all, but just because it's in like a bunch of different organs, it's going to be a difficult road. Like that's a difficult road for anyone with metastatic cancer. It's a difficult road. I don't want to paint this like beautiful picture, right? But we are experts in hospice and before you get onto hospice in managing care. So yes, it'll be difficult because end of life in that journey and those type of cancers and things like that, that's just all difficult. That is just a difficult thing. But in healthcare, we are good at managing those things. So we will try our damnedest to not allow someone to be in pain at the end of life. So I would say on the scale of like really hard to easy, it's like medium. And I know that's not like, I know when I'm saying, even when I'm saying that to you, I know it's like hard to hear. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being willing to hear that and ask that hard question. Amanda says, you've played a major, whoop, my alarm went off. TikTok, I'm going to be posting a video any second once I get off this YouTube live, so please go watch it. Hold on. Amanda said, thank you for playing a major role in helping me through my mom's journey from TikTok videos. Oh, thank you to your book. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. You guys, before I get off of the lives, I do have a book, thanks to you guys. It's a New York Times bestseller. It's called Nothing to Fear, Demystifying Death to Live More Fully. So if you are interested in it, you can get it anywhere you get your books. Just, you can go to my website, hospicenursejulie.com, and get it from any of the things there. You can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes & Noble, you can get it anywhere. It's called Nothing to Fear, and it's a New York Times bestseller, thanks to you guys. And okay, I'm going to go post a new video on my TikTok page, and probably here too, actually. And love you guys. Thank you. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you. If I can, there we go. Bye, guys.